Okay, we're going to begin, turn to Luke chapter 6, just pick up something there. I want to, while you're turning, let me just say this, and you don't need to turn to this, just write down the scriptures. In Genesis chapter 3, the serpent comes, and Adam and Eve, God really set Adam and Eve up with a good deal. So who shows up? The devil shows up in the form of a serpent. And he began the question, the first thing he began to question, hath God said? Yeah. Hath God said? Okay, our convention speaker puts it this way, I said that Satan tries to get in your head. Okay, he tries to plant those thoughts within you.
Yes.
So that's why you see him so bold sometimes when people come against him. There's a battle. If they get that thought in there, you begin to believe that thought. So the prophetic word tonight about the faith, the victories in your faith. Okay, so had God said, okay, to go forth in this, we got to really learn how to speak the word. We got to have the word in us, and we cannot be intimidated.
Yes.
I keep coming back. So I felt like there was a shift, and the shift began. I felt when Pastor Brian shared John chapter 5, being impotent, blind, deaf, dumb, lame, halt, withered. Okay, I felt like there's a shift. Followed up after that, the super angel got into the pulpit and be sober. And I knew that I was going to be preaching that message on Satan's war against America. And I want to again recommend Dr. Michael Brown's new book, Jezebel's War Against America. And you really want to go on Jim Bakker Show on Demand on YouTube, Jim Bakker Show on Demand. And Jonathan Cahn there's a section in there where he tells that whole thing about the paradigm. And if you don't get it on Jim Bakker Show on Demand, turn to YouTube, Jonathan Cahn, and I think it's got on there, and he explains the paradigm and a lot of things into politics. It goes into a lot of just a great detail. Okay, so my Sunday morning message a couple Sundays ago was Satan's war against America. We really went into feminism. There's spirits behind all this. Yeah. There's spirits behind abortion. There's spirits behind homosexual. There are spirits behind transgender identity. Yes. There are spirits behind all these things. Okay, so Satan then shows up. Adam and Eve has a good deal. That's why you have to understand, someone come to the altar, that doesn't mean they'll go live happily for Jesus all the days of their life. Because the thief comes but to what? Three things. To kill, destroy. That goes back to the super angel's message that followed Pastor Brian's message. The thief comes, Satan comes to steal, to kill, and destroy. But Jesus came that we may have life, and we may have life more abundantly. Amen. Before I get to, I'm just going to quote this, don't turn to this, but Revelation chapter 12, who does the Bible say the accuser of the brother? Satan is the accuser of the brethren. So Satan comes to steal, to kill, he'll tell a lie, hath God said, trying to put a seed of doubt. So he's trying to translate, always wants to change our identity. He wants to change our destiny from heaven to hell. Okay, he wants to change our identities from Jesus to be like the devil. Okay, so he's always those are things that he's after. Okay, and let me just quote Luke chapter 4 before we get there, that when Jesus was led by the Spirit to the wilderness to be tempted and tested and tried for 40 days and 40 nights. Every time the devil spoke to Jesus, he spoke the word, and until he drove the devil back. You and I are going to have to learn. That's why we need to read the Word, we need to pray, we need to have a relationship with God. It's not about a title of ministry, it's about having a relationship with God. We got to be in the Word of God, so when the devil comes, the tempter, the lies, the accusation, the condemnation, the guilt, the shame, whatever comes against you, we got to learn how to speak the Word, not let it get in, have on the breastplate of righteousness, the shield of faith, the helmet of salvation, where it doesn't get into it, doesn't get stuck into our spirit realm, so to speak. And if it does get in, we can get it out easily. So then the Bible says, Satan departed from him for a season. Then they stood in the synagogue, said, the Spirit of God's upon me. But so he returned in the power of the Spirit. Okay, when you fight the devil, when you overcome what Satan brings against you to overcome you, when you overcome it, that's the victory that overcomes the world, even our faith. We had to fight that. We had to fight that fight of faith. So one of the main things I want to get across to you tonight is that you and I got to read it. We have to understand that comes with real Christianity. So Satan will fight and come against real Christianity so that you don't really become like Jesus. The devil could care less to become the church as long as we never become like Jesus. As long as we don't develop an anointing, as long as we're passive, we're dead, we're impotent, frustrated, unfulfilled, and angry, mean. We say one thing in here and live another out there.
Right.
Satan could care less to become the church.
Yeah.
Okay, so you and I have to understand, to become a real Christian, Satan's going to come, hath God said? So we want to begin. Satan will elevate, magnify a prayer that you have prayed, and we did get the answer in the way or in the time frame we wanted it to come.
Yeah.
And so God will say some prayers yes, some prayers no, and some prayers not now.
Yeah.
So when the answer is not now, Satan wants to get angry and feel rejected of God and make us angry and mad at God.
Right.
And that's going to really hinder our prayer life
Yeah.
and begin to
Been
change
there.
our identity.
Yes.
And you can go from bad to worse.
Yes.
Okay, so we have to understand it just comes with real Christianity. And if we don't know how to deal with it, then what happens is we become passive, we become wimpy, sissy, pansy, bored, frustrated, unfulfilled, dissatisfied. We have to understand it comes with the term. Because Satan wants us to begin to compromise. When we begin to compromise, all false religions come out of that compromise.
Yes.
Okay, so that we have to stand for the truth, and that's what I want to get to here in just a little bit. So my title tonight is Overcoming Satan's Lies and
Amen.
Accusations.
Amen.
Overcoming Satan's lies and accusations. Okay, let's go to Luke chapter 6. I just pick up a couple things here. I'm going to say that I won't go for long tonight because we're going to do some deliverance tonight. In Luke chapter 6 and in verse 6, it came to pass also on the Sabbath that Jesus entered to the synagogue and he taught. And there was a man whose right hand was withered. The word withered there means shrunken. Shrunken means to be dry. And the scribes and the Pharisees watched him. Scribes and Pharisees, religious phonies, are watching him. Understand that there are people that will come. They may come to church, or they may watch your life. And they're looking for one thing that we might do less than perfect. So they can justify their own sin because they have no intention upon changing. So there are people that will watch you hoping they can't wait for one thing to go less than perfect so they can accuse you. I'm not a Christian, I don't want God because you sneezed and you didn't cover your nose real well. Or whatever. Just some foolish thing, okay? You may walk by someone, you're in a hurry, you got something, your phone's ringing and you got it on vibrate, you're going outside real quick, you walk by someone and they hear a voice, they don't love you, leave the church because someone walked by you, didn't make a big fuss out of you. So all kind of things. So the point I want to make here is that they begin to watch him, whether or not he would heal on the Sabbath day, that they might find an accusation against him. There are people watching you, not that they can find an example to become a Christian. They want to find a way to justify their own sin. So they're hoping. So what they're hoping, this is what they want. They want Jesus. Now it's the Sabbath day. Now they have church one day of the week.
Yeah.
So the people come to church, they're in the synagogue, and they're what? What if he heals somebody on the Sabbath day? We're going to kill him. We're going to crucify him. We're going to find fault with him.
Yeah.
What is sin to heal someone in church?
Wow.
That's the nonsense, okay? So then everything spiritually, politically correct, everything decently and in order, and then no one sweating, no one shouting, no one loud, no one dancing, nothing ever happening.
Yeah.
So nothing happens, they say, well, I don't want to come to church because nothing ever happens, and then when something happens, it's too loud down there, too long, too hot in there.
Yeah.
So
Real.
they're watching. There are people that just watch me the whole time. I hope he does something less than perfect.
Wow. That's it. Yes. That's it. Amen to that.
They're watching him,
Yeah.
whether he would heal. Is he going to heal somebody in church? Is he going to cast out the devil?
Yeah.
And some of them, they're going to talk in tongues down there? Are they going to give tongues interpretation? Are they going to dance? They're going to get loud in there?
Yes. Amen. Yes, Lord
They're
Jesus.
watching.
Yes.
They're going to talk about you anyway. You just won't give them something to talk about. They're going to talk about you anyway. If it's biblical, do let the chips roll in the
Yes.
mouth.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. It's a wonderful life.
Now,
Yes.
I just want to give a
Yes.
tough of them and go to Matthew chapter 12. Now mention this now. Matthew chapter 12 and verse 22. They brought to Jesus one possessed by the devil. And the devil was causing blindness and dumbness, and Jesus healed him. So much that the blind and the dumb he could now speak and see. And all the people were amazed, said, "Is it not the son of David?" But when the religious phonies heard it, this is what they said. This man doesn't cast out devils but by Beelzebub. Now they're calling Jesus a cult leader.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the name of something. This man did not cast out devils but by Beelzebub, the prince of devils.
Yes.
And the next scripture said, Jesus knowing their thoughts. Now how you going to scheme on Jesus?
Yeah.
Jesus knowing their thoughts.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? Okay, so let me just quote this and then turn to Joel chapter 3. You know, now, let's go to 1 Peter chapter 5. 1 Peter chapter 5. I will pick this up. The super angel brought this point out. I want to make a point here. 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8 says, "Be sober." Be sober. See, there are people they're too religious to drink liquor, but they're drunk on doctrines of devils.
Yeah.
They're drunk and intoxicated. They're under the influence of doctrines of demon, traditions of men, and doctrines of men that make null and void the word of God. So he says, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, is walking about seeking who he may devour." So the thief comes with to steal, kill, destroy. So what they do, when Jesus, the scribes and Pharisees, when Jesus is in the synagogue, they're watching him. Is he going to heal? Because if he heals, we're going to call CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, and we're going to accuse him. What? He's healing. So we're going to discredit him. So be sober, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, is walking around seeking who he may devour, to be swallowed. I mean, to go down, who resists. So he said, resist steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplishing your brethren that are in the world. Now turn to Joel chapter 3.
Amen.
Joel chapter 3. I'm eventually going to get somewhere. Joel chapter 3. And we're going to begin at verse 16. Now remember, it says, Satan is a roaring lion seeking who he may devour.
Yes.
Now, Jesus overcame the powers of darkness, the devil himself in the wilderness. Every time the devil spoke a lie, tempting, Satan will give a half-truth. Hath God said?
Yes.
Okay, so Satan is a roaring lion seeking who he may devour. The thief cometh to steal, kill, destroy. In Joel 3:16, the Lord also shall roar. Now, what makes a lion, a roaring lion, flee is the roar of a greater, stronger, bigger lion. Our roar has to be bigger than the roar of the devil, the enemy of our soul. Okay? So we're not going to apologize for roar. The Lord shall roar out of Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the earth shall shake, the heavens and the earth shall shake, but the Lord will be the hope of the people and the strength of the children of Israel.
Yes.
Okay, so the devil will roar, but what will make him, what will bind him, and what will shut him up and make him flee, submit therefore to God,
Yes.
resist the devil, and he will
Flee.
Okay, when you speak the word, the devil will flee. When you bind him, when you plead the blood,
Amen.
and
Amen.
the devil will flee. We
That's
have
true.
power and
Amen.
authority over him.
Yes. Yes.
Now, to illustrate a lot of what I'm going to say tonight, turn to 1 Samuel. Now, I just want to use something here. I'm not going to tell you anything new here tonight. We're in a very familiar text, but I want to illustrate something for you. Our title tonight is Overcoming Satan's Lies and Accusation. Many times that when we first get saved, we have what we call the first love anointing. And we're just on fire for God, and just about nothing affects us. Then when the first love begins to wear off, and you come into what I call the wilderness time, the desert time, that's when the first love carries us so far, and then everybody had, if Jesus had to be tempted and tested for 40 days and 40 nights in the desert, one or two of us going to have to be
Yes.
tested. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, so what I call the wilderness time is where God been, the sins of the outward man is dealt with at the Red Sea, the sins of the inward man is dealt with in the wilderness, the desert time. No one gets to the promised land, out of Egypt and into the promised land. No one gets in there without learning how to become dependent upon God. So in the desert, God began to deal with the inward man. It was so easy for me to stop smoking cigarettes and puffing on evil weed and drinking and drugging and fornicating and partying. It was easy for me to stop that. It was very difficult for me, and when my first love wore off and it was my desert time, well, I had to deal with me. I had to learn to speak the word for myself.
Yes, God.
Everybody wants to get to Luke 4:18. The Spirit of God upon me. He says in the synagogue, said, the Spirit of God upon me to preach the gospel to the poor, to heal the sick, the opening of the prison. A lot of people want to get there, but before there is the desert time. We got to be faithful within our desert time.
Yes,
That's where
Lord.
God deals with the inward man.
Yes,
That's where
God.
God begins to break that independent spirit,
Yes.
that we stop living and choosing, making decisions independent of God,
Amen.
and learn
Amen.
to become dependent upon God.
Yes,
Lord.
Watch Mini puts it this way: life is real easy when you are your own God. You want to do something? You want to go somewhere? You want to say something? You want to do something? You just do it. There's no problem.
Amen.
You're your own God. And I couldn't count 1 + 1 come up with 2. My choices had consequences.
Yes.
And I couldn't add that far.
Not yet.
So when God began to deal with you to become dependent upon God, then you have to count. What? This choice has I said before your death, I'll choose you this day.
Yes, God.
I said before your death and life, choose life, that you and your seed may live and may multiply. Okay, so no one really gets to the promised land
Yes.
without learning how to become dependent upon God.
Yes, Lord.
And there was a war. It was difficult for me to deal with the rejection, the fear, the insecurity, the inferiority,
Yes.
negative self-image, sense of worthlessness, a lot of things that were coming in there. And the devil was very willing to talk to me
Yes.
in my desert time. Has
Yeah.
God said?
Yeah.
If God's so good, how come?
Yeah.
It's working for other people.
Yeah.
How come?
Yeah.
That's the song.
I'm more of you. All right, let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 17.
Sorry song.
It
No,
is
1 Samuel chapter 16.
lies.
Oh, boy.
Now, let's just illustrate a point that what we're going to do, we're going to minister deliverance tonight for words that have been spoken to you, angry words and words of death and words of unbelief
Amen.
and words of accusation, lies
Yes,
have been spoken
yes.
to your spirit man,
Amen.
Yes.
that you're not good enough yet. Okay, so I just want to make this isn't a lot of new stuff, but I think it's real important. In 1 Samuel chapter 16, beginning of verse 10. Okay, so Samuel the prophet comes, and he comes to Jesse's house, and Jesse brings out 7 sons that pass before Samuel, and Samuel says to Jesse, none of these sons, God didn't tell me to anoint any of these sons. Have you any more sons?
Awesome.
The point I want to make is that David's own daddy, David's own birth father could not see
Right.
the potential within David So when Samuel the prophet is sent by God to anoint the next king over Israel,
Yeah. Yes. Amen.
Daddy.
That is amazing.
So what I'm saying is we're gonna have to overcome. We got to break the power of any rejection. The mommy, daddy, grandpa,
Yes.
grandpa,
Amen.
brother, sister, family. You have to overcome
Yeah.
and lie and accusation.
Amen.
How can I say this? Frank Hammond told his mother he got saved and was called to the ministry. And his own mother said, "Frank, are you crazy? You don't have a serious bone in your body." She could not say.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
She said to her own son,
Yeah.
"I can see my other son called, but Frank, you don't have a serious bone within your body. You just laugh and joke about everything. You can't be called." But he would call.
Yeah.
See, God, not many noble are called. God had called the foolish things to the
Amen.
defend the wise. The Jews would not trust in the
Thank you,
wisdom
Holy
of men,
Spirit.
but in the power and in the demonstration of the
Yes.
Spirit. Be
Yes.
careful seeing a great big fool,
Amen.
because
Yes.
they might just have a great big anointing.
Amen. Yes, Lord Jesus. Yes, Holy Jesus. Amen.
Now, I'm gonna say a word here. There's a lot of backlash. When God, I believe that God's up to something in America.
Yeah.
Yes.
I believe that America's right in the middle of the teeter-totter. We could go either way. I believe God really has something in mind.
Yes.
I may go that direction here a little bit. Okay, so what happens is, so that not many mighty, not many noble, not many wise are called. I'm called the foolish things of this world. So God looked down and said, who will stand against abortion? Who will stand against homosexuality? Who will come against all that's going on and the Democrats and the Republicans, both of them, both sides? Who will stand against Supreme Court?
Right.
He looked down the Democratic Party and he looks on the Republican side of the party.
You will stand for
They're all in bondage. So he said, I'm gonna find someone that not wise, not mighty, not noble, someone the outside of the system. And the reason I'm saying that is because now I'll say modern history. There are ministers that are saying that Donald Trump is the most pro-Israel president in history of America.
Thank you, Jesus.
God pulls an outsider.
Yeah.
And remember, if you read that by Jonathan Kahn, he goes into great detail about, he compares Jehu and Donald Trump.
Praise God.
Okay, Jehu was in the beginning. Jehu was with and on the side of Ahab and Jezebel in the beginning.
Wow.
And in the beginning, Donald Trump was pro-abortion.
Yeah.
Jehu switched and was against Ahab and Jezebel.
Amen.
Donald Trump changed from being pro-abortion to being pro-life.
Amen.
Okay, so it's not where someone starts to where they end up.
Yeah.
So I believe that God is positioning things, and
Yes.
I think I'll just go in a little bit of this right now. Turn to 2 Thessalonians. We'll deal with a little bit of the lies coming out. I think we need some understanding what's going on in the nation.
Amen. Amen.
Okay, in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Okay, verse 10, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, and verse 10, with all deceivableness, which means delusion, false impression, with all deception of unrighteousness in them that perish, they're perishing because they did not receive the love of the truth,
Yes.
because they did not receive the love of the truth, that they might be saved.
Yes.
For this cause, okay? So here they were given a choice. You want death or you want life? They chose death. You want the truth or you want life? The truth, they chose a lie.
Yes, I did.
You want Jesus or you want the devil? They
Right.
chose the devil. Okay, so with all deceivableness and of unright, and then the perish because they did not receive the love, they didn't love truth. Okay, I'm gonna say this again. Pat Chasline said the new truth has become the new hate language. Okay, we have a guy running for president that says, but not quote because I'm not for sure about that quote. We truth, is it, no, I better not say, okay. For this cause, God shall send them strong delusion, which means they become fraudulent astray. It means to receive a lie. It means to be seducing. The word there does not mean to be seduced sexually. It means to be seduced from a truth to a lie. So if the devil can get to someone from a truth to a lie, he'll get to them sexually in minutes or hours or days. He'll get to them in a very short, brief time. Okay. Okay. For this cause, God shall send them strong delusion, which means an imposter, a misleader. Now, who becomes if someone rejects Jesus as their God as their spiritual father, who becomes their spiritual father?
The devil.
So then they're now have been turned over to be misled to an imposter, because the Antichrist eventually wants to set up. When you see the 7-year tribulation period, in the middle of the 7-year tribulation period, the temple's rebuilt, and so then the Antichrist comes take over the temple and tells everybody to worship him. Okay, so there's an imposter. That's what he wants. He wants the worship that belongs to God. Now the reason I'm saying that is that whenever a political party can say, let's kill babies. Let's kill babies on what I call an altar of sacrifice.
Yes.
Sacrificing and many that are unaware that they're really sacrificing babies to the devil.
Oh, yes.
Satan can't stay in life, so I said before you, death and life. So I said, I believe that what happens is, and Watchman, he puts this in the second chapter of the book, The Spiritual Man, in the second part when he talks about passive mind, or passivity, he talks about any time that whenever we say no to God, it opens up a door for the enemy to come in. Sin then opens up a door, and if you open up a door to a thief,
Yes.
Yeah.
and it says sin that opens up this door. So that what's happening in America, okay, now whenever way back there when I was young, many people took guns to school,
Yes.
and there was never a school shooting.
No.
Many young men took them because in my day, people went hunting and
Yes.
fishing. It was part of their food supply.
Yes.
It was part of their food supply, so they would take hunting, and people would go to school with shotguns and rifles in the back window of the pickup
Yeah.
in Iraq.
Yes.
There was never a school shooting. Okay.
Yeah.
So then there's a party that says there has to be separation of church and state. So now they don't want God in the school.
Yep.
So now they got school shootings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come on, say something, God.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so God's thought, I give them babies and kill the babies out of the cell. I don't want to be bothered. And in this book that we got coming in this week, Dr. Michael Brown's book, he talks about the spirit behind feminism. I went into that just a little bit. When Donald Trump gave his that speech where they have it like once a year or once so often in the chambers, and they were all in the head. On the front row was the Supreme Court. Every member of the Supreme Court, and Donald Trump began preaching against abortion.
Praise God.
Abortion was killing babies. The camera was, they had the speech so they know what's going to be said when. They had the camera behind Donald Trump shooting down, and you could see the faces, and it just began to go down the road. Some of them were steaming, angry, mad.
Yeah.
Now what I'm saying is,
Wow.
I'm not saying this from a Democratic or Republican Party. I'm saying that from God's perspective.
Yes.
Abortion, from God's perspective, is murder.
Yes.
And God, life begins at conception.
Yes.
Life begins at conception.
Yes.
So God said, what I'm saying is,
It's so crazy.
when a few people were elected, I said for 20 years, something is really wrong on both sides of the aisle.
Yes.
For some people to be elected, something wrong on both sides of the aisle, not just on one side of the aisle. Something wrong on the other side of the aisle. So when God begins to do something, He chooses an outsider.
Amen. Amen.
Comma, when things are wrong within the church, God will find some not wise, not mighty, not noble, but
Amen.
Yes.
Yes.
foolish things to
Amen.
begin to confound the wise.
Amen.
I'm not saying this from a Republican point of view. I'm not saying this from a Democratic point of view. I'm saying this from a biblical point of view.
Yes.
And so we got to stand with God and no political party.
That's right.
That's what we got to
Amen.
stand with God. Okay?
Yes.
I want to know where
Stand with him.
before I vote for anybody, I want to know where you stand with homosexuality.
Stand with
We
God.
had a president
Amen.
that when
Stand with Jesus.
when the Supreme Court voted that men can marry men and women can marry women, then the White House was lit up with rainbow colors for homosexuality
Yes.
in our nation, okay? Now, we have to be careful with everything that's going on. We have to understand, my generation, the hippies, what people, godly people said, man, we're all going to hell here. I mean, the end's coming. The church is going to be, there has to be, the rapture got to happen, because it just looked like God's thought was, I'm going to save them.
Amen.
Amen.
I'm going to save these hippies. And as the animals begin to walk into the ark, Noah's ark, us hippies just begin showing up at church.
Yes.
Praise
Holy Spirit
God.
draws.
Amen.
Praise
No one
God.
held a gun to the animals saying you got to walk into the ark.
Right.
They willingly walked into the ark.
Yeah.
No one held a gun to our head. God just put an appetite. I started having these friends. Go to church. I started having.
Yes.
Believe me, that was far from.
Amen.
Amen.
Yes. Holy Spirit does.
Okay, we have to understand now. Satan doesn't want you and I to understand the potentiality of the anointing. So he'll say to you, "Have God said?" And try to put doubt, fear, unbelief within you. Try to make you feel condemned about something that God doesn't even remember.
Amen.
So Satan will try to remind you of your past, and we got to remind the devil of his future.
Amen.
For this cause, God gave them, allowed them to be turned over to a strong delusion that they might believe a lie, that they all might be damned who did not believe the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Had pleasure.
Wow.
God makes them a man, they have an operation to become a woman. God makes them a woman, they have an operation to become a man.
Yeah.
God gives them a baby to kill him. There's a spirit. Oh, they're coming out a whole lot different than I thought it was going to be. Let's go to 2 Chronicles chapter 18. Second Chronicles chapter 18 and verse 18 again, he said, "Therefore hear the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting upon the throne, and all the hosts of heaven standing at the right hand and on his left. And the Lord said, Who shall entice Ahab, king of Israel, that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one spoke after saying this manner, one spoke after that manner. And there came out a spirit. There came out a spirit and stood before the Lord and said, I'll entice him, I'll lie to him. I'm saying that there are people that under a spirit of deception, because they turned away from Jesus to the devil, they turned away from the truth to a lie,
Yes.
from the gospel of Jesus Christ,
Yes.
the new age.
Yes.
Therefore a spirit came and stood before God and said, I will entice him, which means I will delude him, I will deceive him, I will persuade him, I will allure him, I will make him simple in a sinister way. And the Lord said to him, Wherewith? And he said, I will go and I will be a lying spirit.
Yeah.
Who's the father of all lies?
The devil.
Okay, so when people say no to Jesus, the word says either you're for me or you're against me.
Yes, God.
To say no to Jesus is also saying yes to the devil.
Yes.
Okay, when we say no to truth, it opens up the door for life to come in. Okay, so either we're for him or we are against him. Many people come to church and they hear what they could have, and they say yes, amen with their mouth, but they never give with their life. Okay, it opens up the door. So he says, I'll be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. So be careful. So just because someone goes on the internet and says I'm a prophet, you can't really believe that.
No.
I want to know what.
They're free.
I want to know just what they're saying. I want to know what's on what they're saying. I want to know the fruits. I want to know their life. I want to know they're involved in the church. Because in this electronic age, a lot of people just go on there and say, I'm an apostle, I'm a prophet. And so someone go on there and say, oh, I want to listen to this prophet. It could have a lying spirit in its mouth.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
I'm not going into great detail. I could go on there for quite a while, but I want to. Let me get back to David for just a little bit. Turn back to 1 Samuel. Okay, when David comes upon the scene, first of all, his own daddy, we got to work through family rejection. People, there are going to be people close to you, around you, that have no concept of the potentiality of the anointing of God within your life. His own daddy didn't realize. His own daddy didn't think, well, sure, that can't be David. God would never use David. And see, there are going to be people, there are going to be family members, there are going to be people around you, people that you love, they're going to speak that to you. They have no concept. The natural mind can't comprehend things of the Spirit. So they're going to speak that to you. They're not even going to think that you could possibly be called and be anointed, that you can never be used of God. There are things that you're not going to work through. Yeah, then when David, when Father does send him upon when Israel is out there, Goliath is coming at them, mocking them and ridiculing. David comes out with the food. His brother spoke that to him. Yes. His brother Eliab said, "What are you coming down here? Why did you leave? I know your pride. I know the naughtiness of your heart. For you come down to see that you might see the battle. There's no battle. They're scared. They're scared of Goliath, who's a type of Satan. Yeah. Paralyzed. That's what religion does." Well, let me back up. I can say this in a better way. That's what happens when people follow dead leadership.
Yeah.
Leadership that has rejected the word of the Lord, and they have been rejected from God, by God. Now, Saul had been rejected by God because he rejected the word of the Lord, but he still had the title and the position, but he had no favor with God.
Yeah.
So because they are following dead leadership, that's what happened in 1 Samuel chapter 15. Rebellion is at the sin of witchcraft. Okay, when Saul lashed out at the prophet, he rent his garment, and the prophet of God whirled around and said, "Today the kingdom has been rent from you." Okay, he still had the title, still got the position. You're going to come in contact with people that still might be an elder, a deacon, a pastor, a song leader. May say with them, I'm a Christian, but they had no favor with God because they reject the word of the Lord. So what it says back in Exodus, I think Exodus chapter 2, they're praying for the deliverer to come. Moses, the deliverer, is standing right in front of them. And they say to the deliverer, they're pleading and praying that would come. They say to the deliverer, who made you a judge and ruler of us? The answer is God. But they did not recognize, discern. People are not going to discern. You're the deliverer in their life.
Oh, that's right.
You're the messenger. They're praying for answers, and it will come through you, and they don't recognize it.
Yeah.
Moses then spent 40 years on the backside of the desert, a free man, married with children, and being a shepherd, never realizing that training to be a real shepherd for people.
Wow.
He's shepherding animals, preparation for
life.
Yes. Yes.
So then,
To walk with the Lord.
David comes in contact with Saul, and Saul says to David says, I'll go fight this Goliath, I'll go fight this giant. And Saul says to him, thou art not able.
Yeah.
There's going to be someone in your life speaking that to you and uplift to you. You got to know who you are.
Yes,
You got to know who God is in you. You got to know your calling for yourself.
Yes,
And it makes no difference what other people think, what they say, what they do. Don't go to hell for anything or anyone. It's not worth it.
That's right.
Amen.
There are going to be people that tell you you're not able.
Yes, I am able in
Yeah.
To
Jesus.
yourself.
His own daddy didn't
That's
think,
true.
yeah, God take you. His brother, one of the greatest needs that we have, everybody got to come to the place of being rejected by brethren.
Amen. Yes.
Thank you, Lord.
There's no freedom until you're free of the opinion of brethren.
Amen. Yes, Holy Jesus.
Praise
Yes.
God. Yes,
Amen.
Lord. Yes,
Amen.
God, we will love.
That is true.
So then in 1 Samuel chapter 17, and this is what I wanted to do more than just give you information tonight. I want to release a little bit of an impartation, a little bit of a fight. Because sometimes we can give some knowledge, I can give some natural information here, but sometimes we need just a little bit of a fight released into
Amen.
it.
Amen.
In 1 Samuel chapter 17, in verse 41, finally, David goes out to fight Goliath, and the Philistine came on and drew near to David, and the man that bore the shield went before him. And the Philistine looked about and saw David and disdained him. Who disdains you? Who despises you?
Right.
Who can't stand you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who speaketh death to you? Who disdained him, which means despised him and disesteemed him. For he was but a youth and ruddy and of a fair countenance. And the Philistine said, death and life is in the power of the tongue. And the Philistine said to David, am I a dog
Yeah.
that you should come out me with staves? And the Philistine cursed.
Yes.
The Philistine cursed David.
Yes.
By his
The
God.
Philistine cursed David. There are going to be people curse you out.
Yep.
Yes.
And you don't need their approval.
Amen.
No,
Praise
Jesus
God.
will.
Now, did David take his toys and go home
No.
because someone cursed him out?
No.
It cursing him.
Yes.
His daddy didn't realize, his brother didn't realize. Saul said, you're not able. The Philistines are cursing him. On your journey, we got to overcome some things.
Yes,
Yes.
God.
We got to that's what an overcomer is. Don't think that you become a Christian, it's always going to be smooth sailing.
No.
The more anointed you become,
That's right.
the more problems you're going to have to
That's
overcome.
right.
The more that hell will come against you. That's what we got to understand. So anything that got imparted to you, we want to help set you free. Any death, anything that came into all the way for generations. Okay, that's what we want to minister tonight. So the Philistine cursed David by his gods, by his demonic gods, and the Philistine said to David, come to me and I'll give you flesh to the fowls of the air, to the beasts of the field. Here's what the devil's saying. I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
Favorite. The Goliath here is a type of Satan saying, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
See, here's what David understood. David really understood that we got to know this in our knower.
Amen.
Rebellion is not going to win against submission.
That's
No.
right. Thank you, Lord.
So David, who is this uncircumcised Philistine
Yeah.
that he should defy the armies of the
Living God.
greater is he that's in you than he that's in the world?
Yes, Holy Jesus.
So much someone doesn't believe in you.
Yes.
So much. If they can't see your calling, your anointing, we don't have to defend ourselves.
Oh,
we don't have to
no.
explain stuff to them. Just go over God.
Yes, in the name of Jesus. Yes, Holy Jesus.
Yes.
Amen.
When they get sick, they won't call the dead preacher, they'll call you.
That's right.
When they need deliverance, they won't call someone who doesn't believe in deliverance. They're going to find someone.
Amen.
They go, where's that phone number?
Yeah.
Where's that tongue talker? I remember that crazy church on there. They cast out demons down there. What was the name of that church?
That's right. Praise God.
Yes. Amen.
When they were in love with their demons,
Yeah.
but the demons were turned upon them.
Yes.
That's a great message right there. Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
That's all I want.
Amen.
So the devil is telling them, I'm going to kill you. You come to me, I'm going to kill you. Now, again, I'm going to say this again. Did David tuck his tail, take his toys to go home? I'm scared.
No.
Did he go hide behind mommy's apron?
No.
Rose up and fought.
Hey.
Come on, saints.
Yeah. Amen.
There's going to be a time, there's a time that we need, the Bible says, the soft edge that turns away from. There's a time to say nothing.
Yeah.
There's time to speak softly. Time to speak peacefully.
Yes.
And the time to speak a little bit louder.
Yep.
There's time to be quite loud.
Yes. Amen.
Amen. So when the devil said, I'm going to kill you, this is not about David and Goliath. This is about the multitude of people in Israel
That's right.
that have been turned away from God.
Yes.
That's what it's about.
Yes.
So David understood he had been anointed by God for a ministry. And it wasn't about David and Goliath. It was about demonic powers holding Israel in bondage and in captivity.
That's right.
Yes.
Amen.
Now, without getting into detail, because we got to get to deliverance here before the clock strikes midnight.
Yeah.
See, what this was about, and then this is what you and I got to understand for ourselves. Anybody you come in contact, Satan had successfully used them to change the identity of a nation. Okay? So when Saul then becomes king, okay, so now they're following dead leadership that wasn't believing God's word. So then because he rejected the word of the Lord, he had been rejected by God from being king. So now the nation has become passive.
Yeah.
Okay? So Satan wants to take our fight from us. So what happens is when we have to be careful to following leadership that has rejected God's word but still got a title and position,
Yes.
but not God's favor, not God's anointing.
Yes.
Yes.
As people that follow that leadership, they have no fight within them. So God has to go outside.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yep. Yes.
So he finds someone, little David upon there,
Amen.
Amen.
that no one else will believe God can use him.
Yep.
Not many mighty, not many noble, not many wise. I call the foolish things of the world to confound the wise.
Amen.
The men would not trust in the wisdom and
Amen.
not the education and
Yes.
not knowing Hebrew and
Yes,
Greek
Lord
and having
Jesus.
perfect grammar.
Yes, Lord
And
Jesus.
education is good, the natural book. Education in the spirit realm. You
Yes.
just get memorizing a bunch of stuff,
Amen.
putting head down. There's got to be an anointing.
Yes.
Is what we know.
Yes. Jesus.
So God anoints someone with oil,
Amen.
which went beyond the person Saul that rejected the word of the Lord.
Right.
So what it's all about, God going to change the identity of the nation back
Yes.
to following anointed leadership rather than leadership that didn't want God.
Yes, God.
Amen.
That's what, so the identity, that's why I got to let God change my identity to become like Jesus, that we won't be scared, we won't be afraid. You have to understand that when you get in position, there are going to be voices tell you, you're not able.
Yes.
Put on this armor,
Always.
which means that put on the, be educated, be like other churches.
Yes.
Be like other, educate your head. No,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't work with this. I can't pray with all this.
Yeah.
I can't flow in the spirit like this. I got to get loud. I got to sing. I got to praise. I got to fill our tongue.
Yes. Hallelujah.
I got to move
Yes,
something.
Lord Jesus. Freedom in Jesus.
Yes.
Yes, Holy Spirit.
Not deplorable.
You are freedom, Lord God. Amen.
So David said in verse 45, then said David to the Philistine, you come to me with a sword and a spear
Yes.
and with a shield.
Yes.
Okay, that's the world's weapons. That's the devil's weapons.
Yes.
But I come to you with the name.
Yes.
We got to learn how to use the name.
Yes.
So Jesus used a weapon. He spoke the word.
Yes.
And we got to learn how to plead the blood. We got to learn how to
Amen.
bind.
Amen.
I come to you in the name of the Lord, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied.
Amen.
Defied. This day will the Lord deliver you into my hand, and I will smite you. You won't smite me, Goliath. I will smite you, and I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistines this day to the Philistines. The birds of the air, the beasts of the field, not going to eat my flesh. They're going to eat your flesh and the flesh of the Philistines.
Amen.
Sometimes you got to stand toe to toe to the
Yes.
battle.
Yes.
Sometimes we got to. You don't have to take that. You don't have to. We got, when death is spoken to you, sometimes we just walk away. Sometimes we got to speak life.
Amen.
Wisdom is doing what to say with it. And what kind of spirit to say with it.
That's
Yes,
good.
Lord.
God will just give you wisdom.
Yes, He will.
And so the answer is, verse 47 said, that all this assembly shall know that the Lord does not save with sword and spear. For the battles of the Lord, He will give you into our hand. And it came to pass when the Philistine arose and came and drew nigh to meet David, David hurried and ran toward.
Amen.
He ran toward.
Praise God.
When we got faith to run toward,
Yes.
that which has tried to stop it, that's,
Got the authority behind us, around
Caleb's
us.
one of my favorite. Give me this mountain.
Back of the
Give me
line.
this breakthrough.
Amen.
Give me this new anointing. Give me this joy back. Get the love back. Get my vision back.
Amen. Amen.
He ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And we know went on from there. And so, let me just say this real. Satan wants to steal. He comes to steal, kill, destroy. He wants your identity, your purpose. He wants God's plan for your life, God's meaning for your life. He wants your inheritance. He wants your joy, your finances, your anointing, your vision, your peace, your health. He wants your children, he wants your blessing, he wants your marriage, he wants your relationship, he wants your giftings, he wants your calling, he wants your eternal rewards, he wants the gift of love, he wants to take away your freedom. And he will use his tools are accusations, lies, condemnation, guilt, shame, disgrace, rejection. He wants you to feel unworthy, unbelieving, angry, offended.
Yes.
How many people we know offended?
Yeah.
Offended. Who use temptation, word curses, doctrines of the demon, deception, doctrines of the Nicolaitans. And Nicholas was a man who believed that man's basically good. The flesh is evil, and whatever a man does with his flesh, he's not accountable, because man's good as his flesh is evil, so you can drink, drug, fornicate, lie, cheat, steal, and you're not held accountable. Life in the pit of hell. Jesus said in Revelation, I hate that doctrine. That's the doctrine of the Nicolaitans that Jesus said, I hate that doctrine. And the devil will use death against God's people. We're going to close right there.